Welcome to the Rhino Daily Podcast, the daily podcast for sharp entrepreneurs. You'll hear insights and ideas from the world's top entrepreneurs and thought leaders, designed to help you increase your profits and improve your lifestyle. Now here's your host, Steve Cypress.
Here is the final part of the interview.
We are back for day 4 here on the Rhino Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Cypress, and I have with me fantastic guest, Ezra DeWolfe. If you've been here for the previous 3 days or any part of any one of them, I know you can't wait for what he's going to share with us today. And if you haven't, you absolutely must find a few minutes out of your day and go back and listen to the 3 days we've had with Ezra. Fantastic insights into how those of us that are business owners and entrepreneurs with ADD, ADHD, whatever they want to call it, how we should look at ourselves, how others look at us, how we ought to look at our shortcomings, our strengths, and how we can capitalize on all of it to run better businesses, to have better lives, to make more money, to have more fun. Speaking of which, here on day 4, Ezra is going to share with us, he has a 5-step plan for how to kind of, 5-step game plan, how to take action, how to game it out, how to figure out how to make the most of our ADHD for our benefit and to minimize the downsides. And I know we don't have time to get into all 5 steps, Ezra, but could you give us a hint maybe about one of the steps?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So fundamentally, when we're talking about having this type of being, I do agree that we have the most amazing mind and could achieve so many things. And I will offer that only actually happens if we actually put the right operating system in place. For everything we've talked about, I think we also all know that sort of that sort of like that sinking feeling inside of knowing that at times we haven't really lived up to our potential. At times maybe we tell somebody what we're going to do and we fully mean it with every fiber of our body, and we don't follow through, not because we didn't mean it when we said it, but because maybe we hadn't learned how to mitigate some of these weaknesses. And so we do actually have to put in place the right operating system. And so here's what that looks like to do this work. So the first piece is that we have to go about this in a real systematic way. And we have to go about it in a systematic way rather than just trying to piece together a bunch of life hacks, because this is kind of a core aspect of who we are. And there is no magic pill that's going to fix things. So what that can look like to start, the way that we have to start doing that is it starts by actually taking inventory of what are the specific things that are holding you back that we have to work on as it relates to ADD, ADHD. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Some people with ADHD, hyper-decisive. Some people with ADD, hyper-indecisive because they burnt by being decisive so many times. A lot of us might have learned behaviors around rejection sensitivity, shame that have to work through. Some of us might struggle with time awareness. If we're feeling time blind, then it doesn't matter what planner you use. You can jump between any planner you want in any color, but if we're blind to time, it's going to be hard to use any of them. So that's really when we're talking about putting together a plan, that's where it has to start, is actually figuring out what are those specific things that we have to work on, that we have to overcome. Learned behaviors can be unlearned. When we're talking about sort of neurological changes, like we can develop those areas in the same way that we can learn languages, we could learn music. But we have to have a plan. And I often find just like that very first step of actually mapping it out with somebody who actually knows all of the aspects that might be holding us back, who can sort of give us the vocabulary, the understanding, and just seeing there's something we can actually do gives people a lot of hope in what it might mean to really lean into the next part of our life. And then sort of what we do from there after we've started the plan, we've sort of identified everything that's going on. We have to then systematically get to work at each of those pieces, sort of priming our brain to learn how to get better control over our focus, setting up systems around us.
Can I jump in here just a little bit? I'm guessing that people that you work with, do they ever thank you so profusely for helping them out? I mean, just when you mention the word, to do this, you need to be systematic, sets me off into, oh no, I could never do that. And then I realize that you're right here. And like you said, with expert guidance, with someone to help you, well, then I can be systematic if someone is helping me, because naturally myself, I don't know if I'm like you said, people have different strengths and weaknesses with ADHD, but systematic, nothing is me. I'm not a systematic kind of guy. It's either boring or too restricting or whatever it is. I just can't fit myself. It just sounds like I'm putting myself in a box and I want to break out of it. But it really hits me that, like, working with you, someone that can help hold me to a plan, not to just be blatantly promoting you, but to be blatantly promoting you. We need someone to say to be systematic has fallen on deaf ears to me, is all I'm saying. But offering to help us, to hold us to something systematic sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, that's often what I would offer, and what a lot of people get the benefit from is maybe in life, modeling is so powerful, but maybe in life we've been trying to model neurotypical people, trying to model their plan. So what would it actually look like if you were working with a group of folks who actually had this type, this ADD brain type, who figure out how to mitigate some of those things, who know the knowledge, who have the vocabulary, and specifically know what it looks like in a business context. I'm not saying anything about all of our wonderful therapists and medical professionals in the world, but often aren't quite sure of what that looks like when it comes to all of the aspects of business. And that's exactly what we do. That if this is something that's holding back your business growth, it's probably one of the main addressing these problems, probably produces an ROI like none other, because nothing like the productivity of the business owner is going to determine the success. And then, of course, so that's also why we explain a little bit more on our website of how what it actually looks like to go through this plan in a way that's a little bit more visual as well for those folks trying to follow along in a podcast.
All right. Well, let's end the suspense already. Tell me, what is the website? Where do I go? Where do our listeners go to get more help from you?
Sure. So they can go to theadhdtools.com, or just type ADHD tools in any search engine, or Ezra DeWolfe in any search engine, and we can learn more about how we might work on some of that systematically and how we can apply it for you in a business context.
theadhdtools.com. I know I went there just because I'm about to interview you, and that's where I saw about the 5-step game plan. You just touched on it. But, dear listener, that's where you can go and get all the details about it and just get into the world a little bit about someone who's been there, done that, has what we have, has worked through what we have, is wildly successful. And I know, Ezra, you'll be the first one to admit you still have the downsides, the shortcomings of it, but you figured out how to overcome it, and now, fantastically, you share with others how to help us overcome it as well. So, dear listener, thank you for being here with Ezra for the last 4 days. Can't thank you enough, Ezra, but I cannot more strongly urge, dear listener, that you go to theadhdtools.com and you get more involved with everything Ezra DeWolfe has to help you out, to recognize the power you have, but also the shortcomings to overcome those, and to magnify the advantages we have because of ADHD. Any parting words for our ADHD business? And you can go to theadhdtools.com to get that 5-step game plan from Ezra to transform your business.
About it, I thought it was just an excuse, and then I thought, oh my God, I don't want to be labeled with something, and then I thought, oh my God, people say it's a gift and it's not. And what I would share with you is that it is, in doing some of this work and learning how best to use our type, that there's a whole other layer of life that sort of opens up. And maybe you went through your whole life with a bit of regret of not knowing. Now you know, and there's a whole other thing out there is what I would offer to folks.
I love it. I thank you so much for you going through it. So our listeners and myself, we don't have to go through it alone nearly as much or as long before we can get the help and the direction. I love what you said, not putting anyone down. I have clients that are counselors and psychologists and whatever, but they are kind of looking at, I'll just say it, they're kind of looking down at us or want to medicate us. And here, dear listener, is someone who's one of us, who wants to share with us what he did, what he's done to build successful businesses, and what we can do as well. So I cannot thank you enough, Ezra, for these fantastic 4 days. They just flew by here on the Rhino Daily Podcast, and I just think you're going to be one of the most memorable, helpful guests here that we've ever had. I can't thank you enough.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today on the Rhino Daily Podcast, the daily podcast for sharp entrepreneurs hosted by Steve Cypress. Join us tomorrow for another exciting episode designed to help you increase your profits and improve your lifestyle. Also, go to rhinodaily.com for more great business exploding tips, strategies, and tactics from the world's top experts. Plus, snag your free copy of Money Making Monthly magazine.
Goodbye.